Hello, everybody. Today's video is a little bit different. Today, I've got a very special guest that I do a Skype recorded call with, a video chat here with. And this guy has owned over 100 pairs of various different brands of high-end shoes. He's an amazing wealth of information. And, he's been buying high-end shoes for like 22 years now. He's not in the industry, meaning he doesn't work for a shoe company. So he's a consumer that just has tons of experience. And I'm going to ask him about the Allen Edmonds value proposition. In other words, what is Allen Edmonds' real strong suit? I think they have 4 points. That's really hard to beat, to be quite frank with you, all 4 points together, especially if you have wide or narrow feet. And then he's going to talk about, I don't know, about a dozen other English, Spanish, other high-end shoemakers out there and see if anybody else can bring that same value that Allen Edmonds does. Okay, so let's go. By the way, this is a Skype recorded call. He's halfway across the country in Wisconsin. There are points at which the bandwidth breaks down a little bit and it's, not perfect. So, hey, I apologize. Please don't crucify me for that, okay? All right, let's get moving. Hello, everybody. It's Robert Powers.
4.5 out of 5.
My shoe collection. These are made of shell cordovan. Can you tell the difference? Now, here they are finished up. I'm not a professional. Look how tight this is, though. Very clearly here, I just cut the thread in half.
Here goes.
Here they are completely finished up. So hello, everybody. So we're going to start talking here. This is a little bit different format again. And what I'm really excited to bring to you here is the Allen Edmonds value proposition. Now, and we're going to go outside of just Allen Edmonds shoes because I don't probably have enough time in my lifetime to really figure out all the different brands. And is there someone else out there that might be able to bring what Allen Edmonds brings to the table? And let me define what I think is Allen Edmonds value proposition. Number one is a Goodyear welted shoe made of high quality leather. Number two is local stores where you can actually try the shoes on and have service if you have a problem or want to recraft them and bring them back. I think number three is a fact that, or maybe this should be number two, but a third factor is they have extra wide and extra narrow widths. And then number four is you get all of that, although most of their shoes are either $395 or $425. I really call out Allen Edmonds shoe, in my personal opinion, because they most of the time have some kind of sale going on, a $250 to $350 shoe. So I've got here with us today the Wisconsin shoe guy, and there's a reason that I'm talking to this guy. This is going to be really special. This is going to be really fun. You have owned in the past and currently own what I would call an extensive shoe collection across a large variety of brands. I believe that every man is in some way my superior, and from that I can learn. And I don't think, like I said, I have enough time or research time to either go and look up or buy all these different brands to figure out, does anybody else bring this to the table? You want to, first talk about a little bit who you are and, your experience?
Sure. Well, I'm the Wisconsin shoe guy, and I started getting into shoes like most people. When I got married, I bought myself a pair of Allen Edmonds Park Avenues. And because I live in Wisconsin, I'm not too far from the factory. And a couple of people said, hey, they have a tent sale. You should go check it out. And so I drove up to Port Washington and checked out one of their tent sales, bought 3 more pair. And really, because I had wide feet, it was really one of the only options that I had for shoes. And I started collecting. And for the majority of my life, really, I've had a rotation of about 10 pairs of shoes, not a huge amount, not a little amount. But for the last couple of years, I've really decided to take my collecting hobby and really turn it towards shoes. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to understand what made other brands good and bad. Over time, my size has changed and I no longer have a wide width. So a lot of brands—
That stuns me.
Yeah. So,
wait, hang on a second.
So, yeah.
You're saying your foot got narrower or longer?
It
really?
did, because
I didn't think that was possible.
It's a very strange thing, but when you lose a very, very significant amount of weight—
Oh, okay, right.
35% of my weight. I was my foot just got narrower. I started swimming in the shoes, and I realized, hey, maybe it's time to look at my size. Which, of course, now I have, at the time I had 40 pairs in my rotation, so not a small thing.
Oh, that hurts.
I've done a lot of acquisition over the last year, so I'm up to about 65 pairs. And
wow.
So I've really what I want to do is I want to build an understanding of what makes good shoes and what makes some of these other brands very desirable. But at the same time, in my core, 26 pairs of my shoes, and I just bought a new one. So 27 pairs of shoes are Allen Edmonds, and I won't lose that loyalty. I feel like the company has been very good to me over the years, and I really like shoes.
Wow. Okay, so 27 out of 64 right now?
Yeah.
Okay, are Allen Edmonds. Okay,
they are.
Awesome. You've got some Shell in there too, right? Shell cordovan?
I do. I have about 14 pairs of Shell today.
Wow,
so.
wow, that's awesome. That's a goal right there.
It is. Allen Edmonds started it all.
Right.
I would have had no idea what it was if it hadn't been for them.
Okay. So this next part I have some hesitance in saying, because I definitely don't want to defame anybody or anything like that. There's been a lot of discussion, especially like on some of the shoe forums, that there have been some quality issues. Now I don't know, I think how many pairs I have? I'd have to count 9 pairs, I think, of Allen Edmonds, but only 2 that I've actually purchased, like, new from an Allen Edmonds store recently, like in the last couple of years. I mean, I guess if you really look at it, one I had a problem with, one I didn't. And the one I didn't have, when I say problem, I mean returning it. I did a whole video on that. I had to have a new sole put on a brand new shoe. The other one, no problems, no major problems. But like there were some brogue holes that didn't get punched all the way through. What do you think? Have you seen a change in quality, I guess, in the last 2, 3, 4 years? What is it, especially since, was it Caleres that bought them or sold them?
Yeah, Caleres bought them, right? So they're now owned by Caleres, which a lot of people are upset about, although they've always been owned by private equity or something. I mean, it's been out of family hands for quite a while, right? Okay. But I would say, quality, first off, Allen Edmonds has a lot of factory seconds on the market. And you can tell a factory second because when you look at the sole of the shoe, and I don't know if you can actually see this.
If you tip it a little bit in the light.
Yeah, see if I can turn it that way. Yeah, yes. Right in by the heel, you'll see that there's a little shoe pattern. That shoe pattern means that it's a factory second. Now, it can be a factory second for a lot of reasons. I actually had the opportunity this year to go to the factory and do a tour with them. And they told us that a factory second can be because they have a tolerance of a couple of millimeters, whether it's centered or where the seam is or something straight, that type of thing. And if it's off more than their tolerance, then it becomes a factory, right? So, I mean, it's a big factory. They put out a few thousand shoes a day, and they're in the habit of looking at it. Now that means that if they have a 1 or 2%, what we'll call a fail rate, right? That means that there's a lot of those shoes out on the market. A
couple thousand a day, you said, is what they produce?
Yeah, that's what they produce.
So let's call it at least 10,000 a week, something like that. So 1% would be, what is that? 1% is 100 a day, right?
That's right.
A week. I'm sorry, 100 a week. 100. So like four, easily be 400, 500, 600 shoes a month, whatever. I got lost in my math. You get the idea. Yeah.
I do. It's enough so that, when people are looking at shoes and they get shoes, they can be upset. Now, I've had a lot of factory seconds. I've probably only bought about 12 pairs that were factory first, and most of them recent. And I'll tell you that, I would say that there are a couple things that I've noticed from a quality perspective that seem to be what sets off a lot of the folks in the forums. And I've noticed this on my own shoes. I think when you're running the sole through the Goodyear welting machine, there are tension settings, and I've heard a lot of cobblers comment on this. And the soles look like the tension might be a little high, so there are little stretch marks and stuff like that around the edge. And then when you wear the shoes for a day, they go away. You can't tell. So it's part of what goes off right away.
I think what you're talking about, right, is I can't show you an example. Like, I think what you're talking about is like the groove. Like, this is very smooth. You're talking like that groove is not smooth, right?
Well,
is that what you're talking about?
When the groove is not smooth, that's because they didn't cut the groove and they didn't put it in there. And sometimes that's by design and sometimes that's not, right? If you have a half rubber sole, they never cut a groove, but in the rubber ones they do, so that can be different. But what I'm talking about is just where you'll see like a little edge right along here where it's kind of like tension is like pulled in, but it's in the groove. So it's not something that really impacts the life of the shoe at all, but it is an area where like a cobbler would look at this and say, oh my gosh, that's terrible quality. And that's part of the challenge that we run into, is that a lot of the people shouting, screaming about the quality are the people who do this for a living. And of course, they take great pride in what they do, and they're astounded that, you know, the factory doesn't put out 100%, you know, high quality from their perspective. But that said, I mean, I have noticed some other things, right? I've had some pinking that wasn't cut, but they were factory seconds. When I look at my factory first, I haven't had anything that wasn't something, you know, that was when you wore it the first day it went away. Now that's
really?
I own a lot of other brands, right? And I've never had anything that was not completely clean from any other brand. So can I say that, you know, there's an issue with quality? Maybe, but I don't think that it's something that is.
Hang on, let me make sure I heard you right. You said you've never had another brand shoe where it was completely 100% perfect. In other words, there's something on all of them?
No. What I said was I've never had an issue on another brand where there was anything that I could complain about.
Oh, okay.
You know, now that said, is it a significant complaint? No, I don't think so. I think the way I've worded it in the forums, and I don't know, I mean, they probably wouldn't like me saying this, but I think that from a prioritization standpoint, Allen Edmonds is more concerned with the life of the shoe and making sure that it's high quality so that it lasts forever, and less concerned with the out of the box before you wear it look.
Right, that absolutely, and that's one of the reasons like I love these McNeils, you know, because I walk a lot, you know, for what I do, you know, 'cause let's just keep it simple, you know, outside sales, and you know, this double oak sole, you can take 10,000 steps in this shoe, you know, walking outside on concrete, and you know, feel good at the end of the day, and I'm more concerned with that. Like I've got a pair of Polo Ralph Lauren shoes, they're the Italian made, you know, and it's got the hidden channel stitch.
Yep.
You know, it may sound dumb. I've said this once before, but like if I were to get, not that I would get in a fight, but I used to be in karate. If I got in a street fight, I'd want to take my polos off to protect them. These I'd keep on because they're a weapon. I mean, you know what I mean? It's like they wear through the hidden channel stitch, and I feel like they're a delicate shoe, and they're beautiful. But you know, where these, it's like, yeah, absolutely. I never looked at it that way, but that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. Have you seen the quality change in your opinion then over the last 20 years, or how long have you been buying them?
Well, yeah, I mean, so I started in 97, so it's been a little bit more than
22, 23.
Yeah, so I would say that the quality of the leather does seem to have changed. Now, they say that it hasn't, but I mean, and it may just be the quality of the leather on the market that has changed. But if I go back and I look at that original pair of Park Avenues that I had, they were just a slightly higher quality of leather than any of the shoes that I have today. Now, that said, is the quality of leather in a Carmina or a Crockett & Jones different than on an Allen Edmonds? And I can't say that it is, no.
Right,
because it's the same, yeah.
Because obviously they're all purchasing leather. You know, I mean, no shoemaker makes its own leather. Right.
No, exactly.
So let's start with the first thing. Is I think the most difficult thing about buying a shoe online is that it can fit. Now today, I have no problems doing that now through Allen Edmonds because what is it? Is it the 97 last, the McNeil? I'm trying to remember. Okay, so for some of you that may or may not know, a last is the form on which the shoe is produced. And if you look at, like, for example, this here, this is a McAllister here, and this is a McNeil. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but they are different shape. You know, this is more almond shaped. You know, so the point is, and they have different amounts of room on the you know, the instep and things like that. You know, so once you find a certain last, I know how an 11.5 Triple E fits me on the 65 last McAllister. So sight unseen, I can go buy a Shreveport, which is also built on the 65 last, or I can also sight unseen go buy the Park Avenue, which is built on a 65 last, and I know for a fact they're going to fit. So I guess first thing, how many other brands actually make wide widths? I started to look into this. I saw Loke, you know, an English brand, and they've got this last is wide. Then you go to that last, and they have two shoes. You know, Magnani, I don't think makes a wide width really, like at all. What's some of the other ones, you know, that are available?
Carlos Santos is out there. And they have some narrow lasts, but I don't know of any wide ones. Alden has wide shoes. You can get and they just use this. They're very similar to Allen Edmonds that way. And Loke has a few shoes that are in the Triple E, but it's not as many. Churches, but Churches, I've not And churches has some wide as well, but not a lot. Like if you look at churches, they might have 65 different types of shoes, and they have 16 that are wide.
Right. Now, what you're saying is you said two different. By the way, you said two things there. You said Allen Edmonds. I'm sorry, Alden does make wide and narrow widths. In other words, they have the same shoe like Allen Edmonds does in a wider or narrower width. But what you said was the other shoes, they have a wide last, meaning they don't have wide widths of the same shoe. They have a certain last that runs wide. So that's not even as much of a, I guess that's, it's better than not having a wide shoe, but it's really, it's still not like Allen Edmonds is where you want to, D is standard width. Allen Edmonds says you want an E, double E, or triple E, So, or even going down to what they go to C, B, A, double A, triple A. I don't know how far down they go. But
there are actually a couple of 4As. Not as many, but there are 4As. And 4As, I think, is standard for women's shoes. So there are women in some of the forums who own Allen Edmonds, and it's because they can get a size 6 AAA, and that's the same as 7, right? So it's a different way of being able to do it. Yeah. So, I mean, you're right. And so Carmina, which is a very, very comparable brand to Allen Edmonds in terms of quality and cost, they have the Detroit last, which is wide. And then they have the Oscar last, which is a little wide. Then they have the Press last, which is relatively normal. The Rain last, which is relatively normal. And the Simpson last, which is narrow.
Okay.
And if you look at, if when you go to New York City and you go into their store, they will explain this to you. But online, it's very, very difficult to tell.
Now, you said New York. This is Carmina.
This is Carmina.
And where do they have outlets? I mean, is it
No, I mean they have 4 in Spain, and then they have New York. So that's it. That's it.
Wow.
You can buy them at Bergdorf Goodman, I think, is the big department store. But that's all I know of. Wow.
I mean, so I guess, like I was saying, for the $250 to $350 price range. Right. I mean, because I'm, in Ohio here, they've got a store, less than an hour away from me. I think there's 2. I don't know how many. I think there's a couple, I think, here, even in my part of the state. I should have looked up how many outlets they have, but it seems like most big metropolitan cities, the closest one to me is Cleveland. That's where they have a store, but they have this awesome distribution network where you can go talk to a person. Because I think most people that have not bought a high quality shoe before, I would say majority of people don't know their actual shoe size. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are missized. And even, I was sized at Nordstrom's, and later on, I was told that was the wrong size when I went to an Allen Edmonds store. So it is something that does happen. I actually did look it up, and according to Allen Edmonds' website, they have 711 retail locations in the United States. 65 are company stores, and 7 are outlets for 3 seconds. And the rest are, just your men's clothing store that happens to carry Allen Edmonds. Some Nordstrom's, I believe the rule is that if a Nordstrom's is in the same area as an Allen Edmonds store, they don't carry Allen Edmonds. But if they're in a different area, they do.
Ah, really? Okay, that makes sense. Because there's a Nordstrom's a few miles from the Allen Edmonds store in Woodmere, which is kind of sort of east side of, a little bit more in the east of Cleveland, let's just say. And yeah, they don't carry any of the. They don't carry Allen Edmonds. And I was in there, and like I said, I looked at Magnani shoes. I can't fit in them. I just absolutely can't. I forget what other brands. I had a few others there. And like I said, you're looking online and like, okay, I've never bought a shoe from, like, let's just say, for example, Loke I was looking at. Am I going to click down, $350 to some store in England? And that just gives me another level of like, can you return stuff across international borders? That doesn't exactly give me a warm, fuzzy feeling for trying something, and then for example, you're talking about Alden, we're talking 500 bones, $600 for Alden, and they don't really go on sale, right?
No, they don't. Their marketing strategy is really, this is the price. And you can, if you go to their company-owned stores, which they have one in Washington, D.C., and they have one in San Francisco, they have a pretty good selection of the widths. But if you go to the dealers, most of the dealers will have to eat the wider shoes if nobody buys them, so they don't buy them. They'll only do it and have to order it and send it to you, which means you can't try them on, and the whole purpose of having that store kind of goes out the window. So I was fortunate in that I travel for work. I'm also in outside sales. So I was in San Francisco and happened to walk by the store while I was in between meetings, and I was able to get sized and realize, what I was doing. And then it's Alden of San Francisco. You just go online and check from them.
I was in a high-end men's store. I forget where, somewhere in Cleveland. It was a little boutique shop, not an Alden store, and they carried some Alden. I totally, it wasn't wall-to-wall shoes like an Allen Edmonds store, so I could completely. Let me clarify for some people what the sizing, the real brilliance at Allen Edmonds. So as I said, this is a Park Avenue, the black shoe. Park Avenue, 65 last. This is the McAllister 65 last. And I bought this shoe here September of 2 years ago, whatever that is. September of 2017. I went blank for a minute. And I got this, I think, for $240 before tax, $240 or $245. They didn't have that shoe, but it didn't matter. And the brilliance is they brought out, I think they were really Park Avenues, but it's an Oxford, same style shoe, and the same lasts. And I tried on 11 triple E's, 11 and a half triple E's, 11 and a half double E's, 12 E, and I figured out the 11 and a half triple E felt the most comfortable for me, because every time, because I have these honking wide feet, wherever a shoe rubs, it's always on the pinky toe out here first. And so then once I got that, the color, it's like, okay, now we got your size in that last. Then they say, okay, do you want walnut? Do you want dark brown? Do you want black? Do you want oxblood? Or, I don't think they had coffee. I think they had chili at that time. So you pick your size. And there's no way, I don't think any company could stock, 7 different colors and all these, but you pick the exact one in the exact color, then they shipped it to me, but when I got it, I didn't try on that shoe, but
but you do actually get to try on the shoe. You get to make sure that it feels good. And I will say, when I wear Allen Edmonds, it's not like, because my size is so precise, and you're right, last to last, it really is consistent over the years. Mm-hmm. You put on the shoe and it just feels right when you get it in the mail. Yeah. And every other shoe that you get in the mail, you're always like, okay, well, now I've got to break it in. And then I got to, does it take 5 wears? Does it take 10 wears? Does it take 20 wears to break the shoe in? Where Allen Edmonds really out of the box feel the best. And I think it's because they have that size opportunity, and they're very, very consistent. Where, I bought a pair of Vats, which are pretty expensive shoes. And, do
you mind saying, when you say pretty expensive, do you mind?
It's about $1,000.
Okay. But go on.
Expensive. So, so you're wearing them and you're like, well, wow, I just spent $1,000 and it just doesn't feel right. And I spend $250 on a pair of Allen Edmonds and they feel great.
Now, hang on a second. So, you're saying because you can't tailor it in with the E or D, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right. You don't necessarily know what the lasts are like until you wear them, until you try them on. I later found out that, it has a U last and they have an F last. And the F last has a little bit of toe room. So that's probably what I needed, because that means it's a little bit wider. So that would have made the difference for me.
Wow. So, I guess really what it sounds like is there's really nobody else that has what Allen Edmonds has. Like I said, wide and narrow, especially local distribution. You can try them on. At a pretty reasonable, because here's a way I look at it. For $50 to $100, you're just going to get a completely junk shoe. It's, going to be probably not even leather, bonded on. You get like $100 to $150. Like I remember I paid $109 for a pair of Florsheim's. And by the way, now they don't advertise that shoe as full grain leather anymore. At that time, it was full grain leather, but it's a bonded on sole. It looks stitched, but it's not. Right. So I don't think, $180, I think, is about the cheapest that I've found a Goodyear welted shoe, which is Johnston & Murphy's lower line. Well, I shouldn't say lower line. I take that back. It would be their Melton line at $180 retail. So maybe $150 on sale. But those are made overseas. So it's like, if you're looking at, that price range before you get a Goodyear welted leather shoe. And I know a lot of the Meltons, by the way, a lot of them are corrected grain leather.
Right.
If people don't know what some of these terms mean, I'll link some videos. So I guess the way I look at it, $150 for corrected grain, poorer quality materials, $250 for something really good quality, to me, is not a difficult decision to make. And like I said, in some of the shoes,
especially starting out, it's a great shoe.
This shoe is 2 years old. I've worn it at least 100 times. Look at this. It's unbelievable, So, I mean, and this one, and I usually put heel tacks, and it's just now after 2 years to the point, and I could still go here probably another 3, 4, 5 months, but it's just now almost to the point where it needs a new heel, just the top lift, you know.
Yeah.
So
well, and the higher grade shoes from Allen Edmonds with the JR soles, they last even longer. I have 2 pairs of shell cordovan shoes. One is 15 years old, and the other one is 10 years old. Finally needing sole replacement now.
Wow.
The first time.
Now, let me explain that, because some people may not realize. So I don't have a good gauge on sole wear, because you can see, because of the wet weather, I put the protective half soles on them. This is a Goodyear protective half sole. This one I did a little more aesthetically nicely. It's a kind of skived it in. So their standard calfskin shoes come with a standard leather sole, but all the shell cordovan soles come with a J.R. Rendenbach oak bark tanned, and this is widely renowned by everybody, every cobbler and shoemaker, as the by far highest density, highest quality shoe leather. Right? So there's the logo.
That's the logo. These are actually Meerman shell cordovan shoes from their high-end line, but this is and you'll see the no stitching. This is what you were talking about before with the closed channel. And these particular ones have not started to peel off, but some of my others have. But yeah, the JR sole, it's a great sole. And if you go to an Allen Edmonds store, a lot of people don't know this, you can actually request for a small upcharge, I think it's $40, you can request that any shoe be made with the JR sole now.
Oh, really? Ah, that's awesome. That would be worth it. Yeah. Do you see that some people have said that the newer shoes, the soles, the standard leather doesn't wear as long? Is that true?
I haven't noticed that at all. I've been really happy. I've had these for now about a year, and I wear them in my regular rotation, and they're fine.
Okay. Is that the butyl rubber? Is that like the oil impregnated rubber?
Yeah. So this is my Allen Edmonds leads. This is a butyl leather sole. So butyl leather has a little bit more oil in the leather and in the sole leather. These are double soles. You can see they're quite thick. But this sole is designed for wet weather. So if you don't want to put the rubber pads over your soles, this is an alternative to that, where you get there, you keep the feel of walking on leather soles, and they really wear quite well. You can see this is after about a year and a half.
Wow. Okay. Now, granted, other side of the coin is you're not wearing your shoes every day with as many as you have. I mean,
clearly not. Right. I wear them every 3 months, not as much. Not when I wear them every week or twice a week.
Right. Okay. Anybody else you would suggest? Because like I said, if you're going to get a shoe for the strands, I've noticed never really go deep on sale. So I think the cheapest I've seen the strands go down to is like $315. So let me just call it $250 to $350. It's, for me, it's hard to swallow a $500 cost. That's why I haven't stepped up to anything like that. Is there anybody else though that's, a contender? Again, especially if you're wide or narrow feet.
If you're wide or narrow feet, the ones that I would say, there really isn't a good alternative in that price range. Alden, once you start spending over 500, is an option. Churches, but those are all over 500. I have Crockett and Jones, and they have some wider shoes, but it's harder. Now there is a brand out of Mexico, and this is them. This is Leather Lately, and they on the factory actually put a sole cover on this. Really nice, well-made shoe. $285, and they made this for me in a triple E. So even if they don't have triple E on the website, if you go to them, they will do it. But they actually on their website today, I just looked at it has B, D, double E, and triple E, and they only sizes 8 to 15 though, so they don't go lower.
Okay, now that is Goodyear welted then?
Yes, this is Goodyear welted. You can see here on the sole. And you can see that it does line up. It's the same width of the.
Nice.
That's one thing that you can do, and I've seen your videos on this. On noticing that it's fake stitching. One of the things that I'll always do when I pick up the shoe is I'll look and see whether or not where the stitch goes down, the stitch comes up. Because nobody ever looks it up,
Right.
So, now, that is in a price point that might be worthwhile for folks. Once you're at the 400, 500, this is a TLB Mallorca, which is another shoe from Spain. These are really a step up. If you look at this, the waist on these goes really, really narrow. And this is a lot. This got a beveled waist. This is a lot of the things that they would do on a on a custom bespoke shoe that they're doing at a very low price point. Even if you just look at the last and the way it's cut here, that's really, really
very elegant.
Different.
Now, if you want to bring that back, if you could bring that back a second, that's TLB Mallorca, right? But can you see the logo for the spelling, or I mean, it's like Mallorca or something like that, right?
Yeah, it's
spelled like Mallorca.
Trees. These are Allen Edmonds trees. It's Mallorca. So Mallorca.
Okay. What's the price point of that one?
These were $400.
400, really? No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is their end. You can get their low end line for $330.
Now, did you say those are available wide?
You can get some that are wide.
So again,
they have
the same
way
thing.
The way they do it is, but it's you have to customize the shoe. So if you want something that is delivered right away, then you have to take it with the standard width. But if you want to order it and you wait, I think it's a month for it. Sometimes it's 2 months or 3 months. But they actually have a full customization option, so you can choose what type of leather you want, all that, and colors.
Okay. We lost you there.
Yeah.
We lost you there again for about 5 or 10 seconds.
So it's a C to a triple E.
Okay. Wow. So I don't know.
They call it something, the European widths are E, F, G, and H.
Okay, and that's by the way, another challenge I found with this is you get to any English-made shoes, it's either, correct me if I'm wrong, what is it, either A, B, C, D, is it either E or F is the same as a D, and it's different upon different makers, right? Some of them, they're standard with...
Here's a good example of that. These are Crockett and Jones, and Crockett and Jones, a E is their standard width, and this is a Trickers, okay? And it's the same fit, but this is an F.
Okay. So
whereas it's just a funny difference. And then these are Carminas, and Carminas are a really nice shoe, and I think I got these for about $300. But they usually start at about $450. And also Goodyear welted, and they have. I've picked up about half a dozen of these. These are really, really good types of shoes. That sounds terrible because I just have a lot of shoes. But I really like the way they put things together. And they also, like TLB, they also have a customized option on their website. Costs about 20-30% more, but you can choose anything that you want. And the nice thing for people who really like shell cordovan, Carmina has about 8 colors of shell cordovan always available.
Wow.
So nice stuff.
Okay.
Now last one, sorry, just one other one that came to mind. This is Carlos Santos, and this is made in Portugal.
Is that suede?
And this is suede, and it feels really very ultra soft. And you'll notice one of the things that a lot of makers can't really do is this design of the shoe with the split toe. I've talked to a lot of cobblers, and evidently they're not able to do this. It's a skill set that they don't have.
Hang on, is that a split toe?
This is a split toe.
You can't really see it on the video. It doesn't.
It's very minor, and that's part of the art of split toes. But and here is an Alden split toe, and you can see how this is different. And what I wanted to bring out was Alden. I did a special order of some Alden split toe boots, tanker boots, and the wait on it is about 15 months. Where it's because they only have 2 people in the factory that are skilled enough to make them.
Wow.
So it's a nice thing, and Carmina and Carlos Santos are very, very good at these type of shoes. So it's another option that's out there. And Carlos Santos are a lot less expensive. They're maybe $250. So
with a lot of these brands, New York is the place to get them in the U.S., right? I mean, really, it sounds like.
Yeah, and Carlos Santos, I don't know. The person that I buy the Carlos Santos shoes from is in Norway. And I met him on the forum, and that's how I found it. I've never found a location where I could actually get
Really?
there. And they don't have wide, really, but they do have narrow. So if you have narrow feet, that's an option.
Okay. Wow. So there it is. Like I said, I started to look online and look at brands, and I couldn't find anything that had that magic combination. And I don't know what percentage of the population has wide feet, and honestly, if I didn't have wide feet, I don't know that I ever would have really gotten into, higher end shoes, because I mean, for years, what I did, honestly, was I just bought a sized up to a 12, because my left foot on a brand neck actually measures about an 11 double E. My right measures about an 11.5 double E. So my right foot's actually a little bit wider. My left foot's actually a little bit shorter, but I would just size up to a 12 and just honestly stretch them out. I mean, I thought that was normal to stretch a shoe, but they wouldn't last very long and they were uncomfortable.
Right.
So I got tired of it.
So I still do that with shoes because you have to, right? I mean, there isn't really an option for wide gym shoes except for New Balance, right? So. Yeah.
So. Wow. So I don't know. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else here before we wrap this up that anything we've missed, or any other brands you want to talk about, or show off that you've got there? Or, I mean, this is it's like hitting a candy store for me here.
Well, this is a brand called Herring. Right? And Herring is a shoe store in the UK. They have a lot of brands available, including Churches and Loke and a number of others. But they have their own house brand. And what's nice about this is that you can buy Herring shoes that are made by Carlos Santos, by Alfred Sargent, Cheney, by a number of other very big British makers. But they also have their own house brand, which is made in Europe. And these are this is an example of them. They're Goodyear welted, leather-soled shoes. You can see they don't have a lot of wear.
And you can see there, by the way, if we can get people to see, if you hold that, look at the stitch density. And I don't know if you can tell on mine. I don't know if you can actually tell. But to me, that stitch density, the number of stitches per inch is actually more than, like, for example, with the Allen Edmonds. I mean, I see that. And it's also closer to the edge of the sole. That's a higher level of quality.
It is a
high sole stitching.
Quality. Just look at, this is my Allen Edmonds on the right. And my left, and the Herring on the left.
Yeah. Yep. It's not as easy to get it that close to the edge of the sole either, but it looks beautiful.
No, it's not. And if you look at different brands, and since you brought that up, so this is Alden, and this is Crockett and Jones. Crockett and Jones is the rubber one.
Okay.
So you can see there is definitely a difference there. And then if we want to look at two more, this is a Churches and a Trickers.
Wow. Okay.
So, it is definitely different. Now the really higher end shoes, they'll hide them. And that's pretty common on those. But as you talked about, sometimes that can peel, and then that's ugly, and then you're worried about the shoes, even though
they can wear them a lot longer.
Right. I mean, it's just it peels away, and then it wears like wood without having it. So.
Right.
But the one thing I will say is, I bought these. These are Loke, and I bought them on straw. Okay. Very, very nice shoes. The challenge is that outside of Mastrop, Loke will not sell them in the U.S., and they prohibit most of their dealers from selling them in the U.S. So I happened to go on vacation to the U.K. this summer, and so I bought some.
Oh, you kill me, man! Oh my gosh.
It's it's hard to get. So
you have gone beyond a shoe enthusiast to like a aficionado, a collector.
Well, that's
there's a living collection, is what it is. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Well, this is amazing. I think we may have to do another one of these. Kind of dive further down the rabbit hole. But this is getting pretty long for a YouTube video here.
Yeah.
So, okay. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, I if folks are looking to follow me, they can find me at Wisconsin Shoe Guy on Instagram. It's WI Shoe Guy. And
all run together, or is there an underscore in there?
No, there's no underscore. And I'm also under the same under YouTube. So
Okay. WI Shoe Guy.
WI Shoe Guy.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. This is great.
Great videos. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
So there you go. I hope that made sense. I hope that helped you. I hope that brought you some value. And I hope that helps you broaden maybe your search a little bit, open your eyes to what some of the other possibilities are out there. You know, feel free to comment, feel free to subscribe to my channel, and feel free to check out some of the other content that I have, some of my other videos. All right, God bless you guys. Thank you very much for watching, and have an amazing day.